Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Is the next search on February 28, 2020, 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? The people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-O-N. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case?
There's a lawsuit.
Alrighty, I made the jump. It was rough, but I'm here. I think it's not much to brag about. It's not much to brag about, but that is the quickest transition I've ever had. So I'm taking that as a win. It's all I got. It's all I got. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Thank you very much. Seats are working and everything. This is good. This is good. Welcome. We're going to keep, let's see, I think we need to keep the deliberation clock on. We need this. And we need, let's see, box source 2 is going to be 4. There we go. All right. There we go. Welcome, Angela. There you are. First in chat this morning still, barely. We can still say this good morning where I'm at. Congratulations, first in chat. We're going to give you internet ownership and really just sort of leave it at that because there's a couple things I still need to do. Hang on. Let's see. Jury's already here. It's Karen Reed time. It is. I've just got to get the feeds lined up from the right direction. I think we can do this on 3. Leave that one on 2. I'm so confused because look, they're still doing stuff in this court. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm keeping an eye on it, but I can't listen to both. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to do that. Let's get trial ready for Karen Reed, day 22 here. Day deuce. Let's make sure this is turned off. Reset to only when active. I think we're on day 22. Do a jump. Pause this and bring this in on a separate window, shall we? Alrighty. One of these days I'm going to show you, I've actually, they just updated my switcher firmware, and it's got the ability now that I can put what's on that screen over there as your screen, so you can you get my view of what's going on and what's happening. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to show you that. But here we go. We are not there yet. We're on camera 3. Ready, and oops, there we go. Do we have some audio, possibly? Reset the audio. It's up. Okay. Did you miss Proctor? No. And I'm going to keep the deliberation timer off because it's going to be a little confusing for some people. But just know that it is there. We do have it. It's just over 16 minutes right now. And if I can have some people also keep an eye out for the verdict in the Wade Wilson case, I'm going to build the portal to go back to him for the verdict. This gets a little confusing. Reuse settings. And we're only going to use it if it's a verdict. If it's a question, we'll just jump in and Karen Reed. So. Okay, and It's going to be currently unlisted, and we're going to set it for, let's see what time. I'm thinking 1:30 after lunch. All right. So now we're ready for Massachusetts to get their act together and start court this morning. Does that work? Where's our audio? Geeks. Oh, we're on 3. That's why. Hang on. We've got a call here. We'll take it. We'll take it while we can. Angela, you're really choppy. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I can hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, great. Well, are you ready for today?
I am.
For day 22?
I say I am, but there's like 100% chance that this stream is going to be demonetized because I can't catch all the words that I need to catch. There's only one that I'm really going to.
Brandy gave up. Brandy gave up on that. Let me put the scissors. I'm gonna give up. I don't care anymore.
It's too hard to catch them. All right, if it's obvious and I know it's coming, I'll cut out that one word just like we did in the Wade Wilson trial. But that's it.
Well, see you and not gonna. There is one obvious coming up. Well, I'm gonna just say the first two letters. See you and you know the rest.
Yeah, next Thursday.
Yeah. That's gonna be that's gonna be obvious when Devon is coming because it's coming. Everyone is just I know it's coming beep sound but the rest is just impossible because it's too much. And Twitter went from black hole regarding this case, which you should enter with caution, to Twitter is on fire and people are coming out of the woodwork. I'm pretty sure some of the people that are commenting for Proctor have not even followed this case, but found out what Proctor did through other people, through social media or whatever, and are outrageous.
Yeah.
Is it a word? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, we'll find out because we're gonna find. This is our first time we've seen Proctor here, so we're gonna see what he does. I don't know yet. I've heard it's bad, but it's
really, really bad.
Let's just say he's on the front cover of a lot of newspapers today. Okay. This story it exploded after he testified. So, all right, Angela, thank you very much.
People are coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, thank you.
I need you to focus on the internet. Make sure this does not go down. You won the internet today. Congratulations. So. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that the cell tower is just on the corner, so I can work whenever there's a problem.
Awesome. Thanks for the heads up.
Yeah.
Wish me luck. We'll see you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Angela, managing from Sweden, our internet connection. Appreciate that. Give me just 1 second. We're going to skip the fan spinning because as intriguing and captivating as it is, it's not what I want to see. There we go. Let's. Here we go. There's the judge.
Court is open. You may be seated.
22-117 Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Counsel and Your Honor, just for your information, at this very second, FTR is not running. Ms. King is the official anyways, and she is on the record.
Okay. All right. Good morning. So we're here on the Commonwealth's renewed motion. Can we turn off one of those air conditioners, please? The Commonwealth's renewed motion for reciprocal discovery and the motion to exclude the defendant's newly provided expert, Dr. Marie Russell. I will hear you on your motion, Mr. Lally.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Oh, I'll hear you, Ms. McLaughlin.
Essentially, the Commonwealth is just seeking that the defendant produce what the Commonwealth is entitled to under Rule 14 and what every criminal defendant in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts must produce to the prosecution. It was not until the day prior to trial on April 15, 2024, that the defendant provided notice of all their experts. During jury impanelment, the Commonwealth filed a renewed motion for reciprocal discovery, and the defendant was ordered within a week to produce the expert opinion testimony that the Commonwealth is entitled to. We are now entering, I believe, week 8 of the trial. The Commonwealth has not received any intended expert opinions, anything that those experts, any written reports, opinions, or anything that those experts have based their opinions on. Essentially, the defendant's strategic decisions not to retain their own expert, but rather rely on the U.S. Attorney's Office investigation does not alleviate them or relieve them from their Rule 14 obligations. As it pertains to Dr. Marie Russell, the Commonwealth did not receive notice that she's an intended expert until about week 6 of the trial on May 21st, and it wasn't until May 30th that the defendant provided a brief synopsis of what her expected testimony would be. Essentially, and looking at the balancing tests set forth by the case law, the Commonwealth was extremely surprised by this disclosure, and further, the Commonwealth would put that the defendant's delayed decisions to produce reciprocal discovery is in bad faith. It is intended to ambush the Commonwealth and conduct a trial by surprise. We are still receiving reciprocal discovery. Over the weekend, we received additional photographs that the defendant intends to use. The Commonwealth is extremely prejudiced by these delayed disclosures. So looking at all the balancing factors, exclusion of Dr. Russell is really the only remedy that's appropriate given that we are in week 8 of the trial. The Commonwealth cannot seek a continuance. The Commonwealth has their hands tied with how to effectively prepare for cross-examination of that witness as well as all the other witnesses. We don't have any materials. We don't know what the experts' precise opinions are and what they were testified to. And it's essentially, it is in bad faith and there's no less severe sanction. So the Commonwealth would move to exclude Dr. Russell. And at this point, we are essentially just seeking the reciprocal discovery that the Commonwealth is entitled to be able to effectively prepare cross-examination of these witnesses so late in the game. Thank you very much.
All right, who's arguing this for the defendant?
There's no mic at council table, so I'm going to go to the podium with the court's permission.
Yes.
We need to be heard on this.
That's why we're here, Mr. Yannetti.
Thank you. I'd like to start with the most outrageous and false assertion that the Commonwealth made in its motion.
Can I just ask you, there's no jury here, can I just ask you how long this is going to take?
Between 5 and 10 minutes.
Okay. Because I don't need, the hyperbole.
Your Honor, I need to make my argument in the way that I think is most effective for my client. I will keep this brief and succinct, but I have points to make that I need to put on record.
Okay, and I'm the person you are trying to convince, correct?
I understand that. The Commonwealth, in a public filing, wrote the following on page 3 of its motion. Quote, during a pretrial hearing on February 15th, when asked by the court whether there was any dispute about a canine's involvement or canine DNA, Attorney Yannetti indicated no, and that the defense was not pursuing such claim. I was astounded to read that for 2 reasons. First of all, it is false. It is a lie. Second, the Commonwealth has knowingly lied about something where it's easily verifiable that they lied. We pulled the tape from February 15th.
I don't have that.
I'm sorry?
I don't have that in my motion.
It's on page 3, Your Honor.
I have the Commonwealth's renewed motion for reciprocal discovery, a motion to exclude defendant's expert, Dr. Marie Russell.
Yannetti can't find it.
I don't see your name at all, Mr. Yannetti. I'm on page 3.
I'm sorry, it's not page 3, it's page 4. My apologies. My name is right there on page 4. It says exactly what I just argued to the court. It's about the 5th line down. It starts during a final pretrial hearing on February 15th, exactly as I said.
Okay.
All right? We pulled the tape from that February 15th hearing. Here is what was actually said. This court asked me the following. Quote, while we're talking about DNA, Mr. Yannetti, do we need to be concerned about canine DNA? Where do we stand with that? I replied, no, I think this is the only outstanding DNA issue. The court then replied, okay, so all right, we're not dealing with canine DNA And I said no. There is nothing in there, contrary to what the Commonwealth has represented to this court in a public filing, that I said there was no canine involvement. There is nothing in there, contrary to what the canine represented to this court and to the public, that the defense was not pursuing such a claim.
You said canine instead of Commonwealth.
Can you imagine the nerve of the Commonwealth to spin that interaction?
This is the hyperbole I don't need. Could you please get to the point? We've got a jury coming in 15 minutes.
I understand, but this is, my integrity has been attacked. There have been allegations of bad faith that has been attacked, and I need to defend myself and my client. We were only discussing at that time whether canine DNA was still outstanding, and I succinctly replied, no. And they've spun that, or tried to spin that, into a claim that we're somehow waiving our right to argue that John O'Keefe's arm injuries were consistent with a dog attack. And I ask you, have they no shame? I'm sure it's not lost on this court that this false filing by the Commonwealth comes on the heels of their nefarious attempt to pass off an inverted video, a false video, before this good jury hearing this case. Never once during the direct examination of Sergeant Buchanan did they inquire or mention the fact that the video...
Can we please... All right, I'm going to stop you. Please direct your comments to Rule 14 and the reciprocal discovery obligations that the defense has. That's what this motion is. I know you have a speech you want to make, Mr. Yannetti.
It's not a... Your Honor, most respectfully, it's not a speech. It's
okay,
it's a defense of being alleged to have committed bad faith.
So you've moved on from that. So please just focus on Rule 14, and let's do it in two separate parts. So you've changed, you're not calling Frank Sheridan, right?
No, we are calling Frank Sheridan.
All right, so you've got a new medical, Dr. Russell. We'll do that part of it separately. Tell me about what you've provided the Commonwealth on Chris Van E.
They've gotten his CV, and they've gotten the substance of his opinion from us. And they've had that for a long time, and the court, I believe, has already suggested that voir dire will be done prior to his testimony.
All right, so it's starting to look like we might need a whole day of voir dire, and I'm trying to avoid that. So is the Commonwealth satisfied that when did you provide anything recently since the filing of the Commonwealth's motion, Mr. Yannetti?
Not on Mr. Van E, no.
What does the Commonwealth have on Mr. Van E?
On Mr. Van E, all the Commonwealth has is what's contained, the synopsis on page 2, the first full paragraph. We do not know what his opinions are. It says he'll testify regarding his opinions and conclusions about reconstruction and EDR data obtained in connection with this case. He'll testify to chronological data derived from the EDR, including key cycles and triggering events from the time period in question. I have no understanding or information about what chronological data he's going to testify to, what his ultimate opinions are, anything beyond that relatively vague synopsis that does not comply with Rule 14.
Okay.
Similarly, what's outlined in the rest of the motion, that's all the expert evidence the Commonwealth has received from the defense is contained within the Commonwealth's motion.
Okay. So the defense needs to provide, I'd suggest you listen, the defense needs to provide what chronological data Mr. Van E relied upon and exactly what his opinion is. All right? By the close of business tomorrow.
That's fine.
All right. Now, regarding the 3 experts from ARCCA. So I've read that report. I can't tell who does what or what the basis of their opinion is. So what have you provided?
Your Honor, we've provided everything that we know. We've mentioned to this court at sidebar, these experts did not arise from us.
I understand that.
These experts were hired by the federal government, and they provided a report to us pursuant to the TUI request, and it was specifically outlined that and ruled that they could not prep with us for trial.
So I'm to believe that the defense is calling 3 witnesses that you've never spoken to and putting them on the stand here
that's essentially it. We've spoken to them only for the purposes of coordination of their testimony and their background. That's it. We have not been able to interview them regarding their findings, which are outlined in detail in the reports that both sides have.
See, I don't see that as being, the report, I don't see that as being detailed. It leaves a lot of questions as the gatekeeper as to what they can testify to.
Well,
and you have not complied with your Rule 14 obligations.
We can't, Your Honor. We can't.
So you can't, but you haven't. So I am left with you haven't complied. So we need to get everybody here for voir dire. They can testify in a voir dire, right?
Yes.
We need to do that well in advance of their testimony.
Okay, that's fine, Your Honor.
All right?
Yep.
And now tell me about this ER doc. Is she an ER doc? I haven't seen her. She's not a pathologist, correct?
She's a pathologist, but she has a lot of experience in an ER, which is why she has the experience of having seen dog scratches and dog bites and dog attacks.
All right, so this is not somebody that was involved in the federal investigation, correct?
Correct.
All right, so you need to provide immediately. I want a voir dire of her this week. So we can get her here Wednesday, and we want the other folks up here from Pennsylvania this week as well.
Okay, well, we'll make those calls.
So we need to pick a day. How long do you expect the voir dire of each of these witnesses? If, in fact, the defense has not spoken to these witnesses from Pennsylvania about the nature of their opinion, you must want it too, to be able to question them. How long do you expect the voir dire of each of these witnesses to take? I went and told the jury last week, excuse me, last week that we were going to get them this case by the end of the month based on your representations, which included voir dires. It looks like at least a day of voir dire hearings here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we have not been privy to sidebar conversations with the judge, and it may be that what we're seeing is what has been going on all along. That might be the case. This might be the attitude that the judges had in all the sidebar negotiations. I don't know that. What I do know
is, at least with regard to the, of course, at least with regard to the ARCO witnesses, that's my co-counsel's bailiwick. He anticipates that unless there are, a substantial number of objections during the voir dire, he anticipates being able to accomplish that between 45 minutes to an hour with each of those three. With regard to Dr. Russell, we anticipate a half hour. Oh, I'm sorry, there's only two from ARCO, that's right.
You're only calling two? Which two? Are you calling the two that are certified as accident reconstructionists?
Doctors Richler and Wolf, yes.
Okay, let me, well, they turned the audio down for some reason. I'm not sure why. Let me just say, this might not be popular, but I can see what the judge is doing here. And although her tone is interesting, why did we lose all our audio? Although her tone is, it shows her position. I don't think she's taking a side against the defense. I think she's saying, look, this negotiation we're doing right here, this argument, this doesn't need the drama, because she can see through it. What she's saying is, I know what's going on. I know the sides. I know the positioning, the puffing up, the shouting, the banging the chest. I know about all that. But I only have to make a decision about this one little thing. And because of that, just cut to the chase. Cut the rest of it out. It will save everybody time. It will save the jury time. I don't need it as a judge because I have all the other information. I just need this little piece that I'm missing to make my ruling. Obviously, Mr. Yannetti, it looks good. I mean, this is the showmanship and this is what we like in court, right? We like the chess game that's being played, the arguments back and forth, the getting under the other side's skin. This is the part of the courtroom drama that we enjoy watching. But at the same time, the judge says, I don't need that. Just talk to me. I'm the only one you need to convince, not the cameras, not the people on the other side of the cameras. And she's instead of just shutting him down, she's saying, look, you guys, I'm just calling the balls and strikes. You've got new witnesses. They have something they want to say. The other side gets to hear it before it comes out in court. That the trial by ambush, that's not a thing. We don't want that. That does cause problems. So although her style, the way she's cracked down on it, seems like she's totally cracked down on Mr. Yannetti, and I don't know why we don't have audio here. Does anybody know why? Oh, well, she's standing up, so there we go. She's cracked down on Mr. Yannetti, and really instead of punishing him, what she's saying is, here is your path to answer just the questions I need, right? Because I've got this issue, the Criminal Procedure Rule 14, that has to do with pretrial discovery. You have to share information with the other side, and so when it comes to your new witnesses you have that have testimony that the other side has heard, we're doing a voir dire. They're going to sit here in court. We're all going to sit here and listen, and I'm going to rule on this way in advance. So they might testify Wednesday, like today. They might be testifying today, and then not actually in front of the jury for another week and a half. But in the meantime, the judge is going to say, I've heard the testimony, I've heard their credentials, I've heard the objections back and forth, and now I'm going to decide how much of that testimony can come in. And that's the right thing to do, I think. So I like that the judge is making these calls. I hope that these calls are even on both sides, that we're not just having one side receive it, because it does sound like she cracked down on him really hard. Like she smacked him pretty good, even to the point she's like, listen to me, eyes right here, while I'm talking. But I think it was good. I think it was for the best outcome in this court for her to do that. The attitude adjustment. Look at the flip side on the attitude adjustment. Look how much sass and fire and vim and vigor Mr. Yannetti brought to court today for his argument, and compare it. Honestly, step back and look at what the state did. The state had a little bit. They had some jabs. They had the whole we shouldn't have trial by ambush part in there. There was a little bit of jabbing in there, and that I would expect, and I think that even the judge would be okay with. But Mr. Yannetti is screaming from the rooftops on his response, and the judge says, "Hey, dial it back. I don't need that." And so just cut to the chase. I do think Mr. Yannetti is personally offended. He got named in that motion, and I think wrongfully named based on what we've heard now from the transcript. That he said, no, we're not waiting on anything for the canine DNA, and the state presented that to the court as the defense has said they're not going to pursue the issue of canine DNA in this case, or canine involvement in this case. And so, yeah, he's fired up about that. That makes sense. But it's all good. Let's skip whatever break the judge is making right now. Let's see. Oh, that's the wrong controller. We have to be over here. Where are we? Let's jump ahead. She's got a few minutes. There we go. Trimmed it off. There we go. Here we go. And we're back. The size I didn't like. I think we got seven full size out of the judge during that.
Yay. All persons have any business before the Honorable Beverly Cannoni, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court in the County of Norfolk. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now open. You may be seated.
22117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
Good morning, judges. We all met here at 8:30 to try and streamline things, and as a result of what we did this morning, it looks like there'll be some day this week that we will all meet to go through things that we need to go through, but we will excuse you. I just don't know quite yet when that will be. We'll know by the end of the day today. And also on the 21st, originally we said we'd be off for the 21st, but again, you know that
you're back.
We don't want to take up any more of your time than necessary, so we will meet on the 21st, but just in the morning because I have a long-standing afternoon that we cannot cancel. So The 21st will be a half a day. So
Half a
we'll
day.
let you know more as the day progresses.
Half a day.
All right, I do have to ask those questions. Were you all able to follow the instructions and refrain from discussing this case with anyone since we left on Friday? Yes. Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Were you also able to follow the instructions and refrain from doing any independent research or investigation into this case? Yes. Everyone said yes or nodded affirmatively. Did anyone happen to see, hear, read anything about this case since we left here on Friday? No. Thank you. Everyone said no or shook their heads. Thank you very much. Can we get Sergeant Buchanan, please? Jim, do you have that flash drive? No. The flash drive that I gave you in Friday?
Where's the flash drive? We need the flash drive. What's on the flash drive? This is the flash drive we ended with on Friday.
You solemnly swear the evidence you give the court and jury in the case down here and show the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Buchanan is back.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. So when we left off on Thursday, we were discussing the Sallyport video that was introduced by the Commonwealth on Wednesday during direct examination. Do you recall that?
Just finishing this testimony here.
I do.
When he introduced that video, Mr. Lally asked you several very specific questions about the video, including if you recognized the video in general, correct?
Yes, he did.
And you said you did.
I did.
He also asked you whether you recognized any of the individuals in the video at a particular time where he paused the video and you used your green laser pointer to point out a couple of individuals that you recognize. Do you recall that?
I do.
And in that pause, you indicated at that time on Wednesday that you recognized Trooper Proctor and what you thought was yourself, the person slipping at the front of the SUV, correct?
I indicated that Trooper Proctor and myself were in the video, and there was an individual slipping in the front of the vehicle.
And you then on Thursday, you corrected that to make sure that we were clear about it. The person slipping was actually the tow driver, not you, correct?
That's what it appeared, so yes.
Okay. I'd like to take a quick look at that with the court's permission at 446. May I publish that?
Yes.
This is 446. It's the same video that you were shown by Mr. Lally. We're at runtime about 5:37 and 05 p.m. I'm sorry, I said runtime. I meant time of day. Thank you. As a matter of fact, the time of day would be most easily seen right down here, although it's pretty small from where you're at. If you can't see that, please let me know.
I do not see that, no.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll hold off on that question, and I may ask the court for relief in just a moment. If we can play this for just a quick second, and I'll ask you, Mr. Bates, if you can pause it.
It's the slip and slide version. Ready? Watch your step. Watch your. Whoa! Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Sergeant, this is the basic video, the point at which it was paused when Mr. Lally asked you to identify the individuals in the video, correct?
I believe it was a different time, but I'm not sure.
Do you remember using your green laser pointer, pointing at the person in the back and identifying that person as Trooper Proctor, and then pointing at the person in the front screen right, mistakenly as you? You remember that?
I remember indicating where the individuals would be, yes.
Okay. And so, do you have the green laser pointer with you?
I do.
Could you point at the location where you see Trooper Proctor?
I do not know specifically right now if that is Trooper Proctor behind the vehicle, but when Mr. Lally asked me to indicate where we would be, it was in this location here.
You're indicating toward the rear of the SUV?
Correct.
On Wednesday, and I just want to draw your attention back to your testimony on Wednesday, you used the laser pointer and pointed at two different individuals, the person toward the back, and you identified him as Mr. Proctor, as Trooper Proctor, correct? On Wednesday.
I indicated that Trooper Proctor and myself would be in the shot in the rear of the vehicle. And then I indicated that I'm wearing a olive drab baseball hat
and Trooper Proctor's wearing a winter-style knit black hat.
Isn't it true that on Wednesday, what the question you were asked from Mr. Lally is, Ms. Gilman, from Mr. Lally, Ms. Gilman, if you can just pause there for a moment, as the sergeant's almost falling in the video, and the court said, keep your voice up, Mr. Lally. Do you recall that?
I remember the keep
I do not recall that, no.
Do you remember Mr. Lally saying, Sergeant Buchanan, with reference to any of the individuals you see in this video, do you recognize any of those individuals? And you responding, I can recognize Trooper Proctor and myself. And you used the green laser pointer in doing so.
Yes, I did.
And that was on this area, may not be to the frame, but this is where the video was paused when you made that identification, correct?
It was approximately at this time.
Okay. So you were then asked after you identified, and at that time you did identify Trooper Proctor, and again, mistakenly, yourself, correct?
I directed the laser to the area where we would be.
Okay. And Trooper Proctor is the one toward the back of the truck.
Again, I cannot tell you which individual. There are multiple individuals there. I do not know at this point in time where it's frozen if that's exactly Trooper Proctor. I know we were present at that location, and I know what he was wearing for a headdress and what I was wearing.
All right, so you have to move along from this point.
Then why did you, one more question, Your Honor. Then why on Wednesday did you indicate very clearly that the person toward the back of the SUV was Trooper Proctor? If you don't know, why did you say that on Wednesday?
During the frozen frame, I could tell there were two individuals back there, and I was, at one point in time, in that location with Trooper Proctor.
That appeared to be Trooper Proctor in the back of the car.
From where the video is frozen right now, I cannot tell.
So you're changing your testimony from Wednesday?
Objection.
Are you changing your testimony?
I am not changing my testimony, no.
Okay, next question, Mr. Jackson.
You then asked whether the video was true and accurate as in terms of its depiction of what you saw, what you observed in Sallyport that night, correct?
I indicated the video is true and accurate to the location.
And you were then asked whether or not, in looking at that video, watching it, either you or Trooper Proctor approached, manipulated, touched that right rear taillight at any time, and your answer was never, correct?
That's correct.
And while you testified, this is the video that was displayed for the jurors, correct? And it was this orientation, the front of the truck facing right, the rear of the truck facing left, correct?
That's correct.
And for all appearances, it would appear that the right rear taillight of the SUV is the one facing the jurors, if you will, facing the viewer, right? From appearances. You didn't know anything different.
Can you rephrase that question, please?
Sure. Just from the appearance of the video, as it is now, the appearance of the video looks like the right rear taillight is the taillight that's facing the jurors, facing the viewer, toward the rear of the truck, correct?
As it is frozen, correct.
Thank you, Stephen.
And on Wednesday, I want to move through this
memberships.
relatively briefly, Sergeant. On Wednesday, you did not mention that this video was inverted, did you?
It was not brought out, no.
Not brought out by, I mean, that's a passive way of saying it. I'm asking you directly. Did you mention that this was an inverted video?
Not on Wednesday, no.
On Thursday, Mr. Lally finished his questioning on Wednesday, then came back on Thursday. You continued on direct examination under questioning by Mr. Lally again to start the day, correct?
That is correct.
And during that testimony on Thursday morning, you also, under direct examination, did not mention that this video was inverted, did you?
Did not, no.
And then it was my turn to ask you questions. You recall that?
I do.
And then I began asking you questions about the accuracy of this video. And at that time, for the first time, you said it appears that it is a mirror image. It's an inverted video, correct?
I advised you that it is a mirrored image at that point, correct?
Would you agree with me now, as you sit here, that this video, as we're looking at it, is not a true and accurate depiction of what you viewed in that Sallyport that night?
I would not agree with you, no.
You believe that what the jurors are seeing right here is a true and accurate surveillance footage of the Sally Port that night.
Yes, it's just mirrored.
Which means what's left is right and what's right is left, correct?
Correct. If the jurors were actually standing where the camera is recording, which it's recording all accurate depiction of activity and events taking place, the back of the vehicle would be on the right and the front of the vehicle would be on the left, but all activity is accurately depicted in the video.
So, in point of fact, everything in this video, every bit of it, is reversed, correct?
It's just a mirror image.
So it's not accurate, is it?
It's an accurate depiction of what has taken place.
Sergeant Buchnick, if I were to ask you, let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say you were investigating a circumstance in which a suspect was being identified by 5 witnesses based on a tattoo on that person's left arm. And then you go show that witness, or those series of witnesses, an inverted version of a photograph of that person with the tattoo appearing on his right arm. And those witnesses all say, no, that's not the guy. I remember the guy. The guy had the tat on the left arm. Would you think that that's an accurate depiction of the person with the tattoo?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you agree with me that an inverted video is not accurate? It's inverted by definition, right?
It's an accurate depiction of the events taking place.
You've reviewed this video in its entirety, you testified, correct?
Yes.
About how long would you say this video is in its runtime, from start to finish?
I did not take note of the length of the video.
All right. I'm going to ask you, Mr. Bates, if you could, with the court's permission, can you just pull the cursor back to the beginning of the time of day for this video? And pause it there. Can you see, and this is not an eye exam, can you see the timestamp on the lower left-hand side?
No, I cannot.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I could do this.
I'd like to see it sidebar.
Whoa. We want to see that timestamp. Want to see the timestamp. He wants to have the witness come down and get closer to the camera or closer to the screen so he can read the timestamp. Judge wants him to move on. I'm having salad for lunch because that's what I eat every day. It's part of my diet, but it's a very healthy salad. Croutons, bacon bits, looks like mozzarella cheese, cabbage, lettuce, carrots, and my favorite dressing. I think he's proved his point here. The jury's heard it, even though he hasn't got the answer he wanted out of the witness. Anyone with 2 eyes and 2 ears, or even 1 eye and 1 ear, and with functioning, is able to follow this and say, yeah, that makes sense. I see an obstinate witness who is refusing to admit something that is pretty plain to everybody else. I also plan to eat something healthy this month. Hey, as long as it's on the schedule, Mathis. I'm actually feeling good about progress so far. So, favorite dressing? It sort of defeats the whole diet idea, but Italian from Olive Garden. I have a hard time eating light anything. I feel like when they make a light version of something, they take out all the flavor. You see there John O'Keefe's mom there in the picture, and they just panned away. His dad was in trial for quite a bit at the beginning of trial, and now it appears to have stopped attending trial. And people are trying to read into that to say, well, he doesn't agree with the family, or that's where the division is, or, one side's, pro Karen, one side's pro Commonwealth. I think he might just be frustrated with all the noise around the trial, and he probably just wants justice for his son, and everything else that's happening and the distractions are just too much, and he just doesn't want to be part of it. I think that's more likely in my mind. Actually, I'm like deathly allergic to blue cheese. At least I think I am. It smells terrible. I just can't get myself to taste it. Long sidebar here. I seem like a blue cheese kind of guy. I might be. It might be my favorite food ever. I just can't. I've heard that cheese smells one way and tastes another, and I like a lot of different types of cheeses, but blue cheese, I just can't get it in me gob to give it a go. We do have a fast forward button. I just don't know how long this one lasts. Let's make use of fast forward here just for a minute. Audio's still on. We're jumping 5 seconds at a time.
23 seconds.
Nope. There we go.
What the lawyers have agreed.
There we go.
Jurors, sometimes lawyers have what we call stipulations rather than prolonging either testimony or calling an additional witness. Lawyers agree as to certain facts. So what the lawyers have agreed to here is that this video begins at 5:30 and 23 seconds, 5:30 p.m. and 23 seconds, and it ends at 5:48 and 15 seconds. And the total run time of the video is 5 minutes and 51 seconds. All right, your questions, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. Thank you for that, Your Honor. Sergeant Buchanan, given the fact that the beginning time, the time of day, is 5:30 and 23 seconds in the evening, and the end time of this video stops at 5:48 and 15 seconds, would you agree with me, without doing the math down to the seconds, that's about 17 minutes and 50 seconds or so?
In real time, yes.
In real time. The actual time of this video, the run time of this video, however, is only 5 minutes and 51 seconds, less than 6 minutes. You'd agree with that?
That is what's captured.
So that means that about 2/3 of the video is missing, correct?
It's not missing, just not recorded.
It's not there.
It was never there.
I'm not saying it was ever there. I'm saying I don't know if it was ever there or not. Neither do you. I'm saying it's not there, correct?
It was never recorded.
Well, you don't know what has been and wasn't recorded, do you?
Objection.
I'll let him answer that.
There you go.
I can only speak to what was turned over and what we received, and based on the evidence that was produced, the video that was produced is what we got.
I understand. So based on that answer, you acknowledge you don't know what may or may not have been recorded without your knowledge.
No.
Right. Did you notice that there were obvious portions of the video that in which individuals just seemed to appear or apparate out of nowhere?
It's not a smooth recording of the events. When the motion triggers the recording, the video appears as if a person appeared in the video. But that is due to the triggering of the recording.
Well, you don't know what it's due to because you're not an IT person who actually captured the video, correct?
Objection.
Sustained. Ask that differently.
Sure. You're not the IT person, the technical person who captured this video, correct?
I am not, no.
You don't maintain this video system, do you?
I do not know.
You don't know the inner workings of how the video system was originally installed or how it operates, correct?
Based on my training and experience, I know that certain systems, due to the restrictions of the storage of the system, they try to save the storage and trigger the recording only by motion or certain time parameters. So in this video footage, I could tell you that the video is triggered by motion to record.
Well, how much storage did this system have?
I do not know.
What was the level of storage at the time that this video was taken? Was it 60%? Was it 99%? What was it?
I do not know.
So you actually don't know, Sergeant, the inner workings of this system, do you?
I do not know all the inner workings of the system. No.
But you do know that there appears to be portions of this video missing and portions of this video in which people just seem to apparate out of nowhere.
It's not missing, it just was not recording.
Let's move to, I think it's 5:37. A few seconds. Okay, if we could, with the court's permission, can we play about less than a minute?
Yes.
Pause it. Did you see where the person that was toward the back of the vehicle went in this video?
It appeared they went behind the vehicle.
Which would be which area of the vehicle, the right or the left, in real life, not on this video?
In real life, it would be the right rear portion of the vehicle.
Toward the taillight area.
That quarter panel, correct?
Let's go ahead and play it. Pause it. Did it appear that someone just seemed to appear out of nowhere toward the rear of the vehicle? Just now?
Due to the triggering of the motion.
I asked you why. I asked you if. Did it appear if someone just appeared out of nowhere in the back of the vehicle?
That's what the footage represents, yes.
Can we go ahead and play this? Pause it. Did you see that the person walking away from the vehicle that you earlier on Wednesday identified as Trooper Proctor appeared to have a notebook, black portfolio in his hand?
Yes, I did.
And can you see from there, I'm going to ask you this basically knowing the answer, can you see from there the time of day on the lower left side as that person leaves the screen?
No, I cannot.
Would you disagree if I indicated to you that was 5:38 and 7 seconds in the evening?
I would have to see it for myself. I cannot agree with you based on your statement.
Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Sure.
I think the solution here would be to have the witness stand up and walk over to the monitor. Because the problem is, Altoids, do you see? Altoids are being passed around in the jury. All I have is a York peppermint patty, which is my guilty pleasure today. Have him walk up and look at the
You are
screen.
unmuted.
See what the timestamp is.
All right. So, Sergeant, we're going to ask you to go take a look at that, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
If he says he can't see it. Oh, my goodness.
And please don't speak until you're back in the witness stand.
side.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Jackson?
Thank you. Sergeant, did you have an opportunity to look at the time of day at the point that the video is paused right now?
Yes, I did.
What is that time of day?
5:38:07.
5:38 and 7 seconds, correct?
That's correct.
And remind me about how far of a drive in time is this location at Canton PD from 34 Fairview?
With no traffic, no adverse weather and road conditions, several minutes, 4 minutes maybe, 5 minutes, depending on which route you take.
Your Honor, I have a flash drive that I'd like to have marked.
Is this a different flash drive than we had on Friday?
It is, and I can explain it sidebar if the court wishes.
All right. Are you just marking it, or you intend to show it?
I intend to show it with the court's permission.
All right, so we'll mark it for identification, and then I do need to see you. Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Jackson's just producing flash drives like crazy. What is on the flash drive? What does he have in his pockets? He's got more flash drives. What's on the flash drive, we don't know. The line of questioning immediately preceding this was that was regarding the length of time it takes to drive from was it from the crime scene to the police station, or from the Karen's house to the police station? Maybe the missing video footage. Is that a slime-colored purse? It was quite a flashy purse. How many many flash drives does the defense have? Someone Google that, please. If the defense doesn't know what this is, they're probably going to object. Wow, we've got very little audio, but we could tell there's like a police siren outside. Should we fast forward just a tiny bit? Because we can. There we go. Ooh, jurors out.
All right. Jury out.
Do we get a proffer? Crime scene to police station is like 5 to 8 minutes. He testified 4 or 5 minutes. What was the question? Reminder by the audio software, please. DaVinci Resolve. Or if you want to pay for it, DaVinci Resolve Studio. And the Fairlight. The Fairlight audio mixer on DaVinci Resolve is phenomenal, in my opinion, if you go into the software. It happens to be built into my hardware, but I also have it built into my software. And DaVinci Resolve is free. Why would a camera take an inverted video in a place like a police department? I've thought about this one. There's lots of different reasons. I don't know why you would intentionally do it. But cameras can be set up to do that because they can be mounted in flipped orientations and upside down. And there are internal settings depending on how you mount the camera that you can really manipulate the image. And it might have just been configured wrong from the get-go. Also, why would the police department have cameras that don't record 24/7, especially where they're keeping evidence? It's pretty standard to have motion-activated cameras, but nowadays the technology is such that you have a buffer period where it's always writing what's currently there. It's like your body cam, right? Like when you hit the button to start recording, it actually started 30 seconds ago. So it's always recording, and then when you hit record, it saves what happened before, and it goes to current. So that technology, I think, is a better technology for something like that. In this case, 24/7 storage of data, it gets to be a lot, especially if it's high resolution, which this is not. but it just takes a lot of space. So you're constantly having to roll you roll logs and servers, but you have to roll your camera footage and either store it off or download it and free up space, or add new hard drives, swap things out. There should be cameras at all angles. This is one of the areas where you think there would be a little better coverage than just a backwards motion sensor camera with poor quality. And apparently, no audio? Is there a possibility that the camera was flipped after the fact to not have the taillight in question be clearly visible? Yes, but to know for sure, we would have to know exactly what software and hardware they're using to store the data and how it's collected. The timestamp that was put on there may be superimposed as it's downloaded, and it might not be visible on every camera feed itself. I mean, it's not built into every camera feed. It just depends how that works. If the camera feed, if every camera had in its view a timestamp that was built into the image, like it's part of the frame, then reversing the image would have reversed the timestamp on the bottom, which it didn't do. So I would say that the data for the images is stored in whatever proprietary format that camera security system uses, and keeps a sync with the clock, the internal clock, and the footage, and then when it's exported, it's just superimposed on the bottom, is my guess. But that also just goes to show that it's more likely that the camera was configured to film backwards. Like if you were to subpoena more footage from them and walk down and collect it yourself, if you watch the screen in the security office, whatever, it would be backwards if that were the case. Deliberation clock is where we are. Let me skip ahead. Sorry. Why are we not able to hear this part?
I'm going to take a 2-minute recess.
All rise for the court, please.
Okay. Deliberation clock is right here. We're at 1 hour and 13 minutes. As far as the trial goes that we were watching, that's in jury, that's right here. Nothing is happening there. And we're going back to the fan. So let's skip through. See how long this 2-minute break is. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Am I doing 19 or 19 studio? Studio means you paid for it, and it's $295. But it should be, I say should, it should be a lifetime license. But they did just announce a partnership, I believe, with Apple, that may put that in question. I just bought 19. But you can do 19, just the DaVinci Resolve, and that's the free version. Still got some audio, but nothing. Let's see if I can find my mouse. We'll get this fast forwarded. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Found it. I think they probably did it, Vicky, because Blackmagic also is developing a camera for the Apple Vision.
Does counsel need to see me, or are we all set?
I think we're all set.
Yeah.
Okay. Right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask for the admission of the last item that was marked for identification.
XX. Was it YY? Oh, that was back again. Okay. All right, so that will now be what, Madam Court Reporter? Thank you.
And with the court's permission, I'd ask to display that video. Yours?
Okay.
Bates, if you could move that to a runtime of 1 minute and 17 seconds or thereabouts.
Ooh. What have we here?
And go ahead and pause that. Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted in what's just been marked as Exhibit 542?
I do.
How do you recognize that?
It's an inversion of the video provided from Canton PD, Sally Port.
It's actually, and that inversion corrects the perspective. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay, so now we're looking at what we've always been looking at, but it's clear that we're looking at the driver's side of the vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
And it's everything in it's properly oriented, is that right?
It's an accurate depiction of what is taking place.
Meaning right is right and left is left in this video.
He doesn't want to say it.
The vehicle came from the right into the left. The driver's side is visible and is closest to the camera.
If we could go ahead and, thank you, Sergeant. If we could go ahead and play this for just a few seconds, please.
Whoa.
Pause it. You saw the vehicle that you earlier on Wednesday identified Proctor moving toward the right, I'm sorry, yes, the passenger side taillight area in this video, correct?
I observed the person walking that way.
Let's go ahead and play it.
Dude's still back there at the corner. That whole time he was there.
Awesome. And you see the person toward the taillight area moving out of frame just now, correct?
Somebody just appeared by the bicycles.
I did, yes.
And that person had the that black portfolio in his hand.
That's correct.
I'd like to ask Mr. Bates if you wouldn't mind moving the cursor back to the beginning before the video, I'm sorry, before the SUV was actually in the Sally Port. Okay, pause that. Do you see what's depicted in the video now at runtime, at the beginning of the video?
I see the still frame. I'm observing the still frame.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Can you see from where you are, sir, can you see the chyron at the bottom of the video in blue, indicating the date stamp and time stamp? Can you see that from where you are?
I see the blue color. I don't know what exactly it is.
Are your eyes good enough to see that that is completely inverted?
They are not.
They're not inverted?
They are not good enough.
That was a good answer to a bad question on my part. With the court's permission, would it be possible for the sergeant to approach the screen and take a look at that timestamp?
Will you do that, Sergeant?
It's blurry.
Yes, Your Honor.
Prepare for witness to make the approach. How close do you need to get before you can see? Oh, very. See the bailiff back there playing on his smartwatch.
Were you able to, may I inquire? Yes. Were you able to see that timestamp?
Yes, I was.
Sergeant, did that timestamp appear to be inverted?
The blue writing appears to be backwards.
So in this version of the video, which has been inverted from the version shown by the Commonwealth, the timestamp also was inverted, correct?
What appears on the screen is inverted.
Thank you.
He has a hard time answering
I'd like
questions.
to zoom in on, just with the court's permission, on a portion of the middle of the video.
Okay.
Sergeant, I want to direct your attention to an area of the video right above the hand truck. Do you see that area?
I do.
Do you see that white object just above the snow line?
I see something there. I do not know what it is, if it's an object or it's more snow.
Can you tell if that's a sort of a dirty white rag?
I cannot tell what it is.
Fair enough. Thank you, Mr. Rich. We can take that down. We've seen a corrected version of that Sallyport video from that camera. There's also another camera on the opposite side of the Sallyport, isn't there?
There is.
And that one, for lack of a better phrase, that one came out pretty grainy. Would you agree?
Yes, it's not perfect quality.
It's not perfect. It's just
the other
just
view
below
would
perfect.
show,
One
given
notch.
the fact that it's on the opposite side of the wall of this video, that actually would show the right rear portion of the SUV as it was parked in that Sallyport, would it not?
Yes, it would.
Let's take a look with the court's permission. This has already been marked as 446. I believe it was introduced last week.
Okay.
Could we display that?
Yes.
Thank you. I know it's very hard to see, Sergeant, but could you tell me, as the video is paused right here at the beginning, timestamp, can you see the outline of the antique police car?
Is this a Hubble telescope photo?
I can make that out, yes.
And it appears that there's no vehicle in the foreground this side of that antique police car, correct?
That's correct.
You also can see that this
How can you see
video
that
is
in this
fact
picture,
not inverted,
but not
It's the
Proctor in the
correct
other?
orientation, right?
Wait, it's coming.
That's
to me
correct.
now. It's coming to me.
And obviously,
I was
it's
looking for it
pretty
inverted.
lacking in quality, but you can make out the fact that there is an outline of a vehicle there, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Cameron.
Play. May I approach the screen briefly?
Yes.
Can we turn off the lights, Judge? Oh wow.
If
Yeah.
we could, with the court's permission, begin playing at this time, this is about 5:07 and 10 seconds. That's time of day. We can play for about a little less than a minute.
Okay.
This is how it records? Is this recorded on like a Betamax? There is no way. Oh, look, the car's here now. Ta-da!
Sergeant, did you see what was depicted on the video that just ran from 5:07 and a few seconds until it was just paused?
I did watch the video.
And how much time would you estimate elapsed as we just watched that video in real time?
15 seconds, maybe?
Okay. And do you see something? You see something in the foreground that just sort of appeared there next to that antique police car?
It appears that the SUV has now pulled into the Sallyport and there's an individual standing behind the SUV.
And do you see what the time of day is on that timer?
I do not.
Can you see that it's paused at 5:50 and 46 seconds?
I cannot.
Would you like to get up and look closer?
This is the last time I would ask that you unfortunately, I cannot zoom on this, Your Honor. With the court's permission, would the sergeant make one more trip to the screen to give us the exact time that this is paused?
This is the last time, Sergeant. Would you please?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay, so we went from not having anything in the Sallyport to having a car in the Sallyport. And there was a bit of a glitch, a slight hiccup in the recording.
What was the time? What is the timestamp where the video is paused?
5:50:46.
5:50 and 46 p.m. Correct?
That's correct.
So it appears that this video in about 15 seconds jumps 42 minutes to the 5:50 mark, correct?
I don't know how much it jumps.
Well, from 5:08 approximately to 5:50 approximately, how much time is that?
42 minutes.
Approximately 48.
42 minutes, right?
Excuse me, 42. Yes.
That's okay.
He didn't come here to math.
And this reads a vehicle which shows the right rear taillight portion just appears, correct? At 5:50.
There's a vehicle that appears. There appears to be an individual standing behind the vehicle. It's not just a taillight that appears.
But Sergeant, the exact time that would show what Trooper Proctor was doing at the right rear taillight, that is missing.
Objection.
Sustained.
The exact time that would show what the person who you identified on Wednesday as being Trooper Proctor, that video is not there, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
This video, Sergeant, you will agree, if that 42-minute period existed, that would have shown, that would have been the only video that would establish the actual condition of the taillight the moment the SUV arrived in police custody in that sally point, correct?
Objection.
You can ask that differently.
Is there any other video other than this one that would show the exact condition of that taillight as it pulled in to the driveway, and to the sally point? Or is this the only one?
From that location,
Correct.
that is the video that captures that time frame.
And that's also the video that captures that area of the car, correct? The right rear portion of the car.
Correct.
And that 42 minutes from when the car arrived until 5:50 in the evening, that portion is missing, correct?
It's not missing, it's just not recorded.
It's not there, Sergeant Bubnik. I'm not splitting words with you, splitting hairs. It's not there. It's gone, correct?
It's not on the screen now.
It's not anywhere, is it?
I do not know.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Motion activated. Didn't detect the car driving in front of it. Major change, not just in lighting, but in yeah. Most of the pixels on the screen changed from before to after because the car takes up the majority of the image, and he's saying that it just wasn't captured. Potato camera as well.
Morning, Sergeant.
Good morning, sir.
So, how this video was played before the jury on Wednesday during your direct testimony, the condition of that video, the view of that video, that's how you received it from the Canton Police Department, correct?
That's correct.
So nothing was done to alter it, change it in any way, shape, or form from when you received it to when it was played before the jury?
Objection.
Sustained. You can't lead, Mr. Lally.
What, if anything, was done to alter or change that video, received it to the time that it was played before the jury?
Objection.
Ask it differently one more time.
He doesn't know how. He tried what, if any, and it
As
didn't
far
work.
as the condition when you received it and the condition when it was played for the jury, what was different?
There was no manipulation, alteration of the video between
I'll allow the answer.
when we received it from Canton Police Department, when I played it, and when it was played for you.
Now, as far as the
From Canton. Did Canton change
cameras
it?
the cameras are motion activated, correct?
That's correct.
And as far as the skipping that you observed at various points of the video, was that something that occurred once or more than once?
More than once, repeatedly.
And was it one specific portion of the video? And by that I mean, was it only at the beginning, or only in the middle, or only at the end, or was it sort of throughout?
It's consistently happening when there's lack of motion. The video does not record because it's not triggered to record.
Now, from the video, at least as far as you've seen, the one that you were shown on Wednesday and the one that you were shown today, or the portions that you were shown today, what, if any, difference did you note between the content of what's contained in the video?
The content of the video is accurate depiction of what's taken place. The only difference that I noticed today is that the version played was actually inverted from the original version that I received and which was produced.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I would ask that the entirety of that 5 minutes and 51 seconds of video be played for the jury.
Okay.
You might have one moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
We're going to play the whole thing. Who's getting their beverage ready? So the Commonwealth is now playing the defense's exhibit, the defense's evidence, which is the inverted version. Now can you see which one Proctor is?
Pause there, I'm just gonna. And that area just played before the jury, that is when the vehicle was brought in by the tow truck driver from the flatbed, from the driveway video, into the Sally Port area, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. I'm gonna be quick. I'm going to keep the pause there for 1 second. Sergeant, I'm going to direct your attention to the person that just opened the driver's side door. That's the tow truck driver, is that correct?
That's correct.
Just ask you to take a look at the door, and in particular the snow on the door when he closes that door. Just come in if you could. You can pause just for 1 moment. Now, Sergeant, if I could direct your attention back to the ring video camera. I think it was video 153 from Exhibit 6. And you were shown that video on cross-examination and asked about any movement that you saw on the driver's side rear tire, things of that nature. Do you recall that?
I do.
And do you recall that portion of the video when it's alleged that Ms. Reed's vehicle came close to or made contact with Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in the driveway? At that point, did you observe any snow coming off of Mr. O'Keefe's car when they came close to each other?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
I don't remember exactly if there was snow coming off the vehicle. There was snow falling, and that was captured by the ring video. I don't recall if any snow came off the vehicle.
Just a minute if you could.
These officers act like they had never handled the business end of a shovel before. They clear a little bit, skip a bit, clear a little more, step in the snow, just about slip. Mr. Lally only playing this because he doesn't want the state or he doesn't want the defense to be able to say the Commonwealth didn't show you this correctly. They showed you the inverted image of what they wanted you to see. So he's playing their version the whole way, saying this is our evidence too. We've always said it was the same. It just didn't matter that it was mirror image. I don't know which company. Maybe we could do a FOIA request and see if they'd tell us what brand of security cameras they use. Because I don't want to buy that kind. I don't want to buy that kind. How long was it held in the Sallyport? How long is the car in there? Do we know?
Thank you. And Mr. Officer, we can have the lights back up. Now, Sergeant, that video starts at approximately 5:30 p.m. on January 29th, correct?
Correct.
And is that before or after the ring video 153 from Exhibit 6 at 5:07 in the morning at Mr. O'Keefe's house when you can see the defendant's smashed taillight?
Objection.
So the objection is sustained. Ask the question.
5:30 p.m. on January 29th, is that before or after 5:07 a.m. When you observed the defendant's vehicle on the ring video at Mr. O'Keefe's house?
That is after.
And is that before or after you observed on the ring video the defendant, Ms. Roberts, and Ms. McCabe driving the defendant's vehicle and parking it in the driveway of Mr. O'Keefe's house?
It's after.
And is it before or after about, say, 8:22 in the morning, at some point when a Canton Cruiser parks in the driveway behind the defendant's vehicle?
It's after.
And is it before or after about 12:30 p.m. or so when the defendant and her father and her brother from the videos from Exhibit 6, the ring videos on 1 Meadows Ave, are parked in and around the defendant's vehicle and then leave with the defendant's vehicle to go to Dyke?
It's after.
And is it before or after the video that you testified about on Wednesday in regard to the surveillance video from the defendant's father's house in Dayton when that vehicle is being loaded onto a truck, and you can see the taillight there.
Withdrawn.
Okay.
It's after.
Now, again, you had a conversation or an interview with the defendant on the afternoon of January 29th when you were in Dayton, correct?
That's correct.
And during the course of that interview, she made statements about her broken taillight and when that occurred, correct?
Objection.
Do you want the instruction, or do you want to come see me at sidebar?
Sidebar.
She has a little script she has to read to the jury, and you have to. It's about have to first believe that these statements were made and they're actually from the witness. Everything else, but we'll see what the sidebar takes us to. We can skip because of that. We're just gonna skip, skippity doodah, skippity a. My oh my, what a wonderful day.
You are unmuted.
Approach an hour and 45 minutes in deliberation on the Wade Wilson trial.
Now, Sergeant, between the version of the video that you and the jury witnessed on Wednesday and the version that you just witnessed the entirety of right now, again, what, if any, difference as far as the depiction or people or places between those two versions of the video?
Outside of it being a mirror image of itself, it accurately depicts any activity or action in the Sally Port.
And at any point in time that you were in the Sally Port area of the Canton Police Department garage, did you or Trooper Proctor ever go near, touch, manipulate the rear passenger side taillight area or the rear passenger side quarter panel of the defendant's vehicle?
We absolutely did not.
They didn't touch or go near it?
Now, if I could turn you back to some questions you were asked on cross-examination about something that was reported to the Chief Medical Examiner's office. Do you recall that?
I do recall that.
And some questions about statements that you had made to the OCME at approximately 10:41 a.m. on January 29th. Do you recall that?
I do recall that.
And you were asked some questions about reporting it as a possible domestic assault, correct?
That is correct.
And can you explain to the jury what led to that statement as far as what you knew at that time and why you would make those statements to the medical examiner?
The Massachusetts General Law directs us, just as it gives the district attorney's power to and authority over all death investigations. That's the following section 4 of that chapter. Excuse me, following section from section 4, section 5 of that chapter directs all state medical and police entities to work in coordination with the medical examiner's office. By law, we're supposed to work together on the medical legal investigations that the medical examiner's office conducts. We conduct the criminal portion of the investigation, they conduct the medical portion of the investigation. Thus, I contacted the medical examiner's office and advised them that what we had learned at the time. Up to that point, we had learned that the defendant stated that she hit him. We had collected, meaning the Canton Police Department had collected a broken glass.
Having some audio issues.
So based on the physical evidence.
Audio issues. Let me see if we can get this resolved. Let me bring it in on a different computer.
And the statements made by the defendant to the first responders.
This is terrible.
at the scene at that point in time, I had...
We're just going to pause, okay? Can we just pause?
Communicated those facts to the medical examiner's office. That way...
It won't even pause for me. Man, okay, hang on. Okay, we're going to swing this over somewhere else. Okay, need to make sure we match up right where we're at. Day 22.
A broken glass. So based on the physical evidence and the statements made by the defendant to the first responders at the scene at that point in time, I had communicated those facts to the medical examiner's office. That way they would document it, but also be prepared to investigate the case with the most up-to-date information available.
Now, at that time that you made that statement to the representative from the chief medical examiner's office, had you been to Good Samaritan Hospital and seen Mr. O'Keefe at that point?
I have not.
And had you obviously seen any of the injuries that Mr. O'Keefe had sustained prior to making that statement to the medical examiner?
I had not.
Now, as far as the information that you received, you mentioned first responders indicating that the defendant had stated, "I hit him." Who was the first responder that provided that information?
Be Canton Police Sergeant Good.
In addition to that, did you or Trooper Proctor speak with any of the Canton Fire personnel?
Yes, we did.
And who did he speak with?
I believe it was firefighter Flamani.
So firefighter Flamati, is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, after going to Good Samaritan Hospital and viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, as far as what you had earlier reported to the medical examiner, what, if anything, changed based on those observations as far as your opinion as to what had transpired?
Based on what I learned from observing the injuries, I could tell that the glass...
Objection.
Yeah, I'm going to allow it. You can move to strike it, but I'm going to allow it.
I'm going to allow you can move to strike.
I could tell that the glass was most likely not the object, the weapon, which was used to cause the injury to the back of Mr. O'Keefe's head.
Thank you, sir. May I have a moment?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Any recross?
Very briefly.
Okay.
In your report to the OCME, you said it was a glass to the face, not to the back of the head, correct?
I'm not sure how they wrote it down, but I would need to be refreshed on my memory.
Okay, fair enough. May I approach?
Yes.
Last sentence. May I?
Yes.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Well, I guess they made a
Does
mistake.
that refresh your recollection?
Yes, it does.
What did you say to the or what did you report to the OCME?
That there was a possibility that the decedent was struck to the face with a glass.
You also, with regard to the phrase, "I hit him," or the Sergeant Good and or Flamati telling you that she said, Ms. Reed said she hit him. When did Sergeant Good tell you that?
It would have been during our conversations at the police department.
And when did EMT Flamati tell you that?
He never told me that.
So the only thing you were going on with regard to the phrase or the statement that you claim my client indicated, where my client indicated she hit him, is coming from Sergeant Good.
That information at that time was provided by the first responders from the scene.
And Sergeant Good then relayed that to you, correct?
At some point, yes.
Is there a single report memorializing that Sergeant Good reported to you that morning before 10:41 a.m., before 10:41 a.m., that my client made the statement that she hit him?
I don't believe so.
I want to shift gears real quick to the video. A couple of quick questions about that. When did you, and I'm talking about the higher quality video, the one that was inverted. When did you receive that video? What date?
I'm not sure. It was at some point in either late April or early May.
After we had started this trial.
Objection.
Do you know?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. If after mid-April, correct?
I believe so. I'm strictly speculating here.
Who asked you to retrieve that video?
I did not retrieve that video.
I'm sorry, that was a presumptuous question. At what point were you asked to secure the video, or were you ever asked to secure the video?
That video was never secured by me. I was not asked to secure it. I just was asked to review it.
Okay, so who did secure the video to your knowledge?
I do not know.
You are aware that it was, well, let me ask you a couple of different questions then, based on that. You've already testified that you knew that the Canton Police Department was recused from any investigation concerning this case, correct?
At one point, we learned that the Canton Police Department, the decision was made way above my level, and I was advised by Detective Lieutenant Tully that Canton Police had recused themselves from the investigation as far as interviews go.
And you knew that that recusal was because of a connection between the Canton Police Department and the Albert family, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you know, or were you informed, that the recusal was based on the connection between the Canton Police Department and the Albert family?
Objection.
So it's sustained for the same reason I sustain the Commonwealth's objection at sidebar, Mr. Jackson.
Last question. Who provided the video?
I do not know.
Canton Police Department, wasn't it?
You asked who. That's an entity.
Okay. What entity provided the video?
It came from the Canton Police Department.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Sergeant, you are all set, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your next witness, Mr. Lally?
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth call Officer Nicholas Baros to the stand.
Okay.
Nicholas Baros. Nicholas Baros, come on in. Wow. So now we're on to witness number 55.
Here's home sir, the evidence given to the court and jury in the case now and here for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
So, all right, whenever you're ready, Mr. Lally.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the jury?
Nicholas Baros, B-A-R-R-O-S,
And how are you employed, sir?
with the town of Dayton.
And what, if any, role or what do you do for the town of Dayton?
I'm a police sergeant for the police department.
And how long in total have you been a member of the Dayton Police?
In total, started in 2011, 14 years this December.
And how long have you had the rank of sergeant with the Dayton Police?
A year and a half.
Now, if I could direct your attention to January 29th, 2022. Do you recall that date?
I do.
And were you working that day?
I was.
And do you recall what kind of shift you were working on that occasion?
I was working the 8 to 4, the day shift.
And was that the only shift that you had worked on that occasion, or how long had you been on shift by the time you came on for the 8 to 4?
That particular day, I was working from 8 a.m. to midnight. It was on a double.
Now, at some point when you first came in, with reference, if you could explain to the jury just briefly or in general terms, when you come on shift for the Dayton Police, what, if any, communication, well, first and foremost, what was your role as far as that particular shift was concerned?
I was the officer in charge that day, from 8 a.m. to midnight. When I came in at 8 a.m., the outgoing shift, the midnight to 8 shift, had advised me that a resident had called the police station on a 911 call requesting a ride to Brockton Hospital to meet his daughter due to her daughter's boyfriend passing away, and he needed a ride due to the snowstorm.
And then, as your shift continued, what, if any, further contact or who, if anyone, reached out to you in regard to that earlier situation?
Later on, I believe it was around 2:30 in the afternoon, I received a phone call from the Norfolk District Attorney's Office with the troopers assigned there, and they had stated that they were going to come to Dayton to retrieve a vehicle that was involved in a homicide.
And did they give you a specific address as far as where they were going?
I believe the address was 345 Country Hill Drive in Dayton, North Dayton.
And with regard to that address, what, if anything, did you recognize between that and the earlier call that you were just speaking of?
That was the address that came up on the 911 call when that gentleman had called earlier on the prior shift.
And at some point, did you come to find out who the residents were at that address on Country Hill Lane?
I did.
Okay.
Who did you find them to be?
It was the Reed residents.
All right, so Sergeant, I'm going to ask you to keep your voice up, and Mr. Lally, you too.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the Reed residence, was that a William and Janet Reed, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as you received that call at about 2:30, do you know specifically who you spoke to around 2:30 in the afternoon?
Trooper Michael Proctor.
And as far as that earlier information that you were talking about with the 911 call, what, if anything, from that did you impart to Trooper Proctor?
I advised Trooper Proctor that we did receive a 911 call on the midnight to 8 shift about the resident looking to get a ride to Brockton Hospital.
And during that initial call, how was it sort of left as far as what, if anything, you were going to provide as far as assistance or with regard to the troopers on that first call?
On the first call, the troopers just had asked me if I could meet them at that residence as a courtesy since they were coming into my jurisdiction.
And what, if anything, did they indicate to you as far as where they were or when they felt they would be arriving in that area?
Trooper Proctor advised me that they were heading, I believe, from Canton, and once they were about 10 minutes away, they would recontact me so that I could meet them at the residence.
And subsequently, later in that afternoon, did you receive further contact from Trooper Proctor?
I did.
And do you know about what time that was?
I believe the first phone call was around 3 p.m. that he had called me and said that they would be there in about 10 minutes.
And upon receiving that call, what, if anything, did you do?
I had contacted, Trooper Proctor had asked me to contact our tow company to have them meet us at the residence as well. And I said once I hung up with him, I would contact the tow company and then respond to that address on Country Hill Drive.
And is there a specific tow company that the Dayton Police uses with regard to towing of vehicles within the town?
During that period, it was Diamond Towing.
And so did you contact someone at Diamond Towing in reference to responding to that address as well?
I did. I contacted the owner, and he responded.
Now, as far as that area of Dayton, if you could explain to the jury sort of what you observed as you were coming down towards that residence on that day.
Okay, so when I responded to that address, that street is off of 138. When I turned onto Country Hill Drive, I was traveling west. When I arrived on that street, I observed a black pickup truck parked on the street facing east. I was flagged down by that black pickup truck by the driver and was told that they were the troopers that I had spoke to, Trooper Michael Proctor and the other sergeant.
Sergeant that left the room as you were coming in?
Correct.
And what identification did they provide to you in reference to that?
They showed me their ID and their badges.
And then from there, where did you proceed?
I had parked my marked police vehicle at the end of the driveway since it was a snowstorm and we could not get into the driveway. And then we walked up to the residence.
So when you say it was a snowstorm and we couldn't get into the driveway, can you expound upon that a little as far as explain to the jury why it was that you couldn't get into the driveway?
It was about a foot of snow in the driveway.
And as far as that snow that you observed when you arrived there, was that snow, how did that snow appear as far as, did it appear as if it had been shoveled or snow blown or untouched, or how did it appear?
It was untouched.
Now, as you're going through the snow, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's yourself, Trooper Proctor, and the sergeant from the state police, and who, if anyone else, is going along with you?
I had an officer that was field training with me that day, and he was with me as well, and we went up to the residence.
And as you're walking up to the residence, what, if anything, did you come upon as you're going towards, say, any door or getting closer to the home?
I remained at the garage. The two troopers went to the front door and made contact with the homeowner.
Now, as far as you were there specifically for a vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Did you observe a vehicle in the driveway at any time?
Yes, we observed a black Lexus SUV in the driveway.
And what, if any, observations did you make to the rear area of that vehicle specifically?
At first, I did not go up to the vehicle. I just remained at the driveway and waited for the troopers to come back. And once they came back, they were let into the house through the garage. I had walked in with them briefly and then went back out to the garage and remained with the vehicle.
And as far as at any point in time, did you have any conversation with anyone named Karen Reed that day while you were at the house?
I did not.
Now, with respect to you come back out to the garage, is that correct?
Correct.
And the troopers are inside the house, is that also correct?
Correct.
Now, at some point, do other vehicles come down to the driveway area of this residence that you were at?
I had contacted the highway superintendent after speaking with the troopers about how to retrieve the vehicle since the driveway was untouched and had about a foot of snow. I had made the decision that I would call the highway superintendent and see if that he would come and plow the driveway so that the tow truck would have access inside in the driveway.
And just in reference to this driveway, just if you could, not exact footage or anything, but how close is this Lexus SUV parked in relation to the roadway? How long is that driveway?
It's got to be about 150 feet off the roadway, if not more.
And if you recall, from where you're standing at the point of the garage, was what part of the vehicle was facing you? Was it the front of the vehicle, the back of the vehicle, the side of the vehicle? If you know?
I was looking at the left side of the vehicle.
And at some point, did you make any observations of the right rear part of that Lexus SUV?
I did.
And what, if anything, did you observe about that area of the vehicle?
I saw that there was some damage to the right rear taillight. To my best ability and recollection, that taillight was not completely damaged. It was cracked, and a piece was missing, but not completely damaged.
Whoa.
And then beyond the taillight area of that vehicle, what, if anything else, did you observe as far as damage to the rear passenger side area?
Like a dent on the rear quarter.
And as far as the dent on the rear quarter panel that you saw, was that above the taillight, below the taillight, or something?
It's probably right in conjunction with the taillight in that same area.
And from the time that you made these observations of the vehicle, at any point did you go sort of physically up to the vehicle?
I walked up to the vehicle, correct.
And about how far away from the vehicle did you get?
5 to 10 feet away.
And as far as the sort of outside or exterior of the vehicle, you mentioned obviously there's about a foot of snow on the ground. What, if anything, precipitation-wise or weather-wise, was around or on the outside of the vehicle?
Just snow.
And in particular, in this area of the right rear passenger side and that taillight, was there any snow or ice or anything around that area that you observed?
On the vehicle itself?
Yes.
Yes, on the vehicle there was snow on the vehicle.
And not to put words in your mouth, but sort of caked on there, is that correct?
I guess you could say caked on, correct.
So you'd reached out to the highway superintendent to have someone come out and plow the driveway, correct?
Correct.
And do you know about how long it was between the time that you made that call and the time that the plow driver came out to clear it?
Less than 10 minutes.
And the sort of clearing of the driveway and the process of that, do you know about how long that took?
I'd say another 10 minutes or so.
And as far as the time that the troopers went into the house, at some point the troopers obviously came out of the house, correct?
Correct.
Do you know about how long it was that they were inside of the house?
More than 30 minutes, less than an hour.
Now, at any point in time that while you were there, did you yourself or did you see anyone else touching or making any contact or manipulating or anything in that rear passenger side area of either the taillight or the dent that you
I did not.
And I'm sorry.
I did not.
Let me have a moment, John.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to pause right here for just a minute because we can, and we have to transition. We have to transition. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to portal to. Hang on one second. The word is that we have a verdict. Just one second. In the Wade Wilson trial, and we're going to see if we can catch that here live. Just one second. Details. Come on, unlisted. Let's go public. Done. All right, hold second. We're going to end this live stream. We're going to portal over to the other one. Here we go. Guys, we're going to come back and continue here in just 1 second. We're going to portal over to Wade Wilson. Not the birthday song, though. That we can't portal to that. All right, we're going to go over to Wade Wilson where we have word that a verdict has come in. You guys, hold on. Buckle up. We've got a portal set up. It's right on this channel. Just hang on. We'll see you over there on the other side. Bye.